We continue now with our tributes and touch base with our business editor, Xolani Mbanjwa. He is standing by in Parliament with the leader of the UDM as we continue to get reaction on this ground-breaking news story. Xolani, as we come to you now, parliamentarians are gathered around Parliament today for a completely different reason. But it's at this time that we've had confirmation of the passing of former President FW De Klerk. What are the reactions that are coming through as tributes continue to pour in?
Good afternoon, Tammy. Yes, indeed. Just over an hour from now, we expect the Finance Minister, Kodongwana, to actually deliver that medium-term budget policy statement. But as you said, the news has come as a shock to many here, and many are aware that the former President, FW De Klerk, was actually not in a state of good health, and there is a lot of history around the former president, and of course, as you walk around Parliament, you will see a lot of that history, Tammy, and some of the history is just there for you to see when it comes to the days, of the release of the former president Nelson Mandela. You can see much of the history that was actually kept that we know of, and some of the words that the former president Nelson Mandela actually spoke about the release of that day, and it was a seminal moment that the now late President FW De Klerk was quite a pivotal player in. Even if you look at what the former president Nelson Mandela had said there, I knew that people expected me to harbor anger towards whites, but I had none. In prison, my anger towards whites decreased, but my hatred for the system grew. I wanted South Africa to see that I loved even my enemies while I hated the system that turned us against one another. This is really indeed a seminal moment in South Africa, and as we get reaction around the Parliament on this day on TBPS, we are joined by the United Democratic Movement leader, Mr. Bantu Holomisa, General Bantu Holomisa, rather. Thank you very much for joining us, General. There is a history here between yourself and the now late president. How will you remember the late president?
Well, the President De Klerk will be remembered as one of the leaders in this country who saved South Africa from getting involved into a full-blown out revolutionary phases. That is a bloodbath and destruction of infrastructure. But due to the pressure from the international community and locally, De Klerk read the signals, and he moved fast to engage his political opponents. So I would say he was far better than his previous boss, which was P.W. Botha, because P.W. Botha and his soldiers were sure that they will only be removed from their offices through military means. But Madiba and ANC and De Klerk opted to sit around the table. So we will always remember him for that.
You also had your own run-ins, back in that day in 1990. You recently recalled how he berated you for releasing political prisoners prematurely, as it were. Tell us about that particular moment.
I remember he flew down to Transkei, accompanied by Pete Botha then, his Minister of Foreign Affairs and other ministers, and they started to read the Riot Act for us, to say, why are we releasing political prisoners, why are we talking about rejoining South Africa, and so on. But I said to him, were you joking when you said Transkei is independent? Why are you here? Because we are taking decisions without, we don't have to consult you for that. So he went to the media and briefed the media outside, and he started to repeat what he was telling us. And I told him in front of the cameras that here the military government is in charge and we are not taking instructions from Pretoria. So you rather go back home. And then later on in 1990, as you are aware, here I came at Danes when he was accusing us that we are having camps, military camps for MK and APLA. And then I said, all right, bring your generals. They came, and we sat down at Danes. I demanded evidence. Then Big Water started to open up a big file, and I could notice that these are news cuttings. I said, I want intelligence, not news cuttings. And then FW De Klerk, he was frustrated. He could see that there was no evidence, and he started to smoke. And then Big Water followed him. Even those days, it was fashionable to smoke in an office or a boardroom. But at the end of the day, De Klerk accepted that he was misled by his soldiers and intelligence family.
Thank you very much, General Holomisa, for those anecdotes. As the day rolls on, Tammy, you will hear such anecdotes about the role that the former president, who is now late, FW De Klerk, actually played in South Africa. That seminal day 31 years ago is still remembered forever. But for now, let's take you to our Tim Tongana, my colleague, who is outside the home of the late President FW De Klerk.